Ravens Steelers, Saturday night in Baltimore. I have a question for you. We look at the lines every now and again, especially now, not as players, but as analysts. It's only 7.5 right now, which you're an AFC North expert. I thought it would be higher, to be honest, but is there a path to the Steelers winning this football game?
I think we've talked about this. My only path I can really see for this Steelers football team, is honestly they're going to have to turn the football over. I think of the first matchup. You look at this first matchup, the first time they played, the Ravens get a drive going, and all of a sudden Nate Herbig gets a hold of Derrick Henry from behind a strip fumble and on a run. And I think that to me is really the only way the Steelers have a chance to win this game. Because when you think of the Steelers, something about playing in Pittsburgh, I don't know what it is. You're anxious. You turn the ball over. You give them these opportunities. I mean, Cincinnati almost did it last week with the fumble off the guy's foot on the punt. It's like you give the game away for some reason. And I don't know if it's the energy of the place. It's what they've always done, that Steeler aura they have. But that's what you think. I think of these Baltimore Ravens, if they can not go in there and play tight, don't try to squeeze the football. Just go play, be yourself. Yeah. And if you don't turn it over, they're going to win this football game.
Yeah, and I think the only other thing, this offense the last 4 weeks for Pittsburgh has really struggled. And so it's like, what ignites this offense? What makes them go? It's throwing to George Pickens down the field. So I'm sitting there watching both of these games. If I'm the Ravens, if I'm Zach Orr, what kind of plan am I putting together against these Steelers? I'm looking at Russell Wilson. He's been really successful this year when he's had man coverage, when he's been able to see it before the snap. He's been able to pick up his matchup and throw it down the field. A lot of that has been George Pickens. Some of that's been Calvin Austin. But if I'm Zach Orr, I'm rushing 4. I'm playing varieties of zone. I'm going to have 3 different zones. I'm just going to mix little Rolodex, make Russell Wilson read the field, because the biggest thing with him right now, if it's not one-on-one and the ball's not coming out of his hand, the only thing he's throwing on time right now is the check down. So let's take the running back away. Let's be in zone. Let's try to confuse him a little bit. And then he'll run around. He'll take some sacks, which he's done, especially recently, or he'll try to get up out of the pocket and make some plays. The problem is the playmaking ability that he has showcased his whole career isn't what it once was. And so for me, that's what I'm doing if I'm the Baltimore Ravens. Don't give them the ability to have a spark to throw one of those balls down the field. And I wouldn't be surprised, because the Steelers are reeling on offense right now. If we see a little bit of Justin Fields, just to throw him out there, just to provide some sort of spark, because they have to make something happen early in this game, whether it's what you said, a crazy turnover, the only way the Steelers know how to do it, off somebody's foot, or something wild off a helmet, a batted ball, or they've got to generate some sort of big play on offense, because right now, vibe check, pretty low in Pittsburgh right now.
It's low. It is low. And Fitz, I think that's the thing to me when you brought up Zach Orr. I think that sometimes when we get into these seasons and we think about who the Baltimore Ravens were to start the season, the close loss against Kansas City, and then they kind of get going and everybody's going, man, you know what? They lost just by a toe against the Kansas City Chiefs, but they look like one of the best teams in the NFL right now. And then they kind of have a little lull, and defensively they're really struggling. I think that Thursday night game we had with them, where Cincinnati tore them up offensively. They won the game, but it was an absolute shootout. And you're saying, you know what, this team is so special, but what are they going to do about the defensive side of the football? And then I think you got to commend Zach Orr. You look at it, since week 11, they made some significant changes. They moved Kyle Hamilton to the free safety position. And he says, hey, listen, I wanted to kind of, stabilize the positions of some of these secondary guys. I don't want Kyle popping around everywhere playing all these different positions. He's our leader. He's the smartest guy we have on defense. Mentally, he gets everybody aligned and taken care of. And I kind of think of what Cooper Kupp almost is for a Rams offense, and you look at that wide receiver group, it's kind of how he addressed what Kyle Hamilton is to his secondary. I want him back in the middle of the field, directing the defense from that position. And since that point, they've been one of the best defenses in the NFL. They've barely given up over 200 yards, I think, one time since they made this change. Yeah. They have dominated defensively, and that to me is what makes you think about this Ravens team in a whole different light, because all the talent and ability they have offensively, they're right there with the Philadelphia Eagles as far as talent, offensive line, skill positions, all of it.
It's the lingering question of Lamar in the playoffs. Can he do it? And it's going to be there until he actually does it, right? We think about last year and Todd Monken and them not sticking with the run game. I think it's going to be a lot more difficult to go away from it this year with Derrick Henry. I think he's a big shadow on the sideline and a nice reminder that he needs the ball. He gets better and better as he gets more carries throughout a game. But there's no excuses this year for the Ravens. They've peaked at the right time. They have Lamar, who's playing his best football. They have Derrick Henry. Todd Monken has been great all year long. There's no excuses to not see them in the Super Bowl this year with the way that they're playing right now.